The narrative we used is similar to some music videos already out there because it's kind of fairy tale, like dream wedding type thing, where we have the song title Best Day of My Life, so we wanted to go down like more like obvious and ironic route. The title suggests it's someone's best day of their life, so we thought that most people, when they say, oh, the best day of their life, is when they got married. So that's the kind of route we went down for narrative, and that's cropped up in quite a few videos that we've seen, where it's just like a happy video about marriage.
We wanted the editing to be quite fast-paced because the song is quite fast-paced. So with the shots at the beginning, you can hear the clear beat in the music, and so we thought that we would edit the clips to the beat as well. So the beats at the start have quite an impact, and so the music like fitting in with that beat makes it stand out more. At the beginning of Ride by Lana Del Rey, the music video, there's quite a big like narrative section where there's no singing included, and we thought that was quite cool. It kind of gives you a little snippet of like what's actually going on in the scene. That's the word I'm trying to look for.
And before we carry on, there is another music video I've just thought of by Metric called Sick Muse, and at the end of the video they have a bit where they're just packing up instruments, and it's just like separate to the song, just at the end.
Yeah, so we thought that having little bits, that little tiny little bit at the end that we've got separate to the music video, it kind of just gives you an insight into what's like going on in the scene and kind of makes you feel more connected to it, because I think with just the story with the music it's kind of like, oh, that's the video, but then with that little bit on the end it's like, oh, okay, so, you know, just, I don't know, it's just like a little nice little bit on the end to have, which is kind of like disconnected but still connected all the same.
Yes.
That made sense.
Another thing in our music video that we have seen in others is like gender stereotyping and all that kind of thing. So it's kind of, the whole video is kind of on the viewpoint of the female gaze, and you know how when there's young girls they like dream of their dream wedding and of what they'd have there and everything. And in our video we wanted to get across like the childhood fantasy of the fairies, and like the white dresses all symbolise like the purity and the angel fairy-like thing, and the whole wedding is it's very girly, and like the music video is very centred on girls, and it's just it was in Lavatory, so it's quite grand, and you know, there's flowers everywhere, so it's kind of floral and everything, and that kind of fits in with that, you know, stereotype.
I also think that with the fact that it's a boy band, like obviously we've only got one male singer in it, but you know, with the whole band behind him, and obviously it's American authors, it's not just like one person. I think that that's the kind of thing that a lot of girls look up to. Like if you look in the statistics of like people that like One Direction or a band like that, it's going to be mainly teenage girls. So we wanted to kind of have the boy band element, but also fit in stuff about like girly things, like obviously the fairies and like the wedding and everything. So like it's not just the fact that it's a boy band, like that's not the only thing that they'll like, but also the music video as well, because it's like aimed towards them as well.
Yeah, like with the boys in the video, it's kind of, the characters are like ideal kind of guys type thing. Like the guy walking up the hill is very outdoorsy and nature-wise. The lead singer, you know, same thing. And they're all like commitment. They're very committed to what they're doing.
There's a bit of a running theme with our CD and our poster and our film, which is that we've included the dry paint in all of those things, because we think that, like, obviously they're vibrant colours, and it's kind of quite indie as well. And we actually got the idea mainly because I looked into the Holi Festival of Colours, which is basically like a celebration of happiness really in India, and like I think it's hourly bursts, I might be wrong, like there's a colour run. So you basically throw dry paint in the air, and like it's just like a celebration of happiness really. So like, you know, best day of my life, that's happy, so we thought we'd link that with that.
The The other thing we thought linked quite well with the video and our CD and poster stuff is the fact that we've used Polaroids on the CD cover, which in itself is quite quirky and quite cute and vintage. And it's something like at a wedding, you know, a cute wedding, you take snapshots and it would be there like of the day. And we thought that linked quite well to the CD, as it's like, it's quite, I don't know what the word, it's like quite homely, it's quite unique and, what's the word? What's more like? It's quite traditional. Yeah, so it's quite a traditional wedding, so having the snapshots of the wedding involved in the CD cover, it just made it seem more together and more linked to each other. Another thing that links quite well is when we were editing the video, we for every shot we put a golden tint on it. And we did the exact same with the pictures, so it had this kind of warm effect linked with all of it. So it
I think it's quite indie as well,
yeah.
which is kind of like the genre of the song, so it fitted quite well.
Fit quite well.
Fit quite well.
And it kept with that whole vintagey, quirky, old-fashioned thing. And the same with the Polaroids. When I was editing it on Photoshop, we took the colour down to the edge of the Polaroid to make it look like it's quite old-fashioned and worn, so it's still linking in with the traditional type thing.
So halfway through editing, we decided to do a focus group because we had a few like black gaps that we weren't quite sure how we wanted to fill them. And we were also unsure about whether we wanted to include a singer in it or not, so we wanted someone else's opinion, and we just wanted an opinion of how they thought the video was going so far.
From our focus group, we learnt that everyone liked how the different stories link together, and we were a bit worried about that because we were worried that the audience won't understand the different stories because we kind of interspersed them a little bit.
It wasn't like one story, then another story, then another story. It was like a little bit of one story, a little bit of another story, like all interspersed clips throughout the entire video. And we didn't know whether they'd understand that, but they did. So luckily we didn't have to change any of that.
Yeah.
When we did our AS film, one thing that a lot of people commented on was our use of close-ups and how they really liked what we did with that. So we wanted to be able to keep that sort of thing in, if it's going to get us more marks. So we have used a lot of close-ups again in our music video, and the focus group actually commented on how much they really liked our use of close-ups again, so that's definitely something that has proved successful in Year 12 and in Year 13.
Another point that they made in the focus group is suggesting that we film the guests at the end of the film to add more to the ending of the wedding, and that's actually something we were thinking of doing anyway, and we did actually film that. We filmed with Amy, Daisy and Hannah at school, and we just did close-up shots of them looking up to where the bride and groom were dancing, so that all tied in quite nicely and that actually helped it a lot. Another reason why we wanted to put that in is because we just had shot after shot after shot of the bride and groom dancing, and it got kind of a bit, you know, repetitive, so we wanted to put something else in there to make it more interesting.
We had toyed with the idea of having a male singer in the music video, but we weren't sure how we would film it, how it was going to fit in, and we also didn't know whether we wanted that in, whether we just wanted to keep it as a whole narrative throughout the entire thing. But when we brought up the idea to the focus group, they said that they liked the idea. We wanted to maybe have the singer like walking down a street or something like that, and so when we suggested that, they said yeah, that'd be good because it's quite simplistic, and just having that in would break up some of the boring gaps maybe, and also just be a nice little addition to the video. We kind of like changed it as we went along due to like location problems and also just like ideas that we had, and we ended up just having him in a field with a nice background, which we think worked well. But the feedback definitely steered us in the right direction, and because we were kind of on the fence about it, when they said that it was definitely a good idea, we were like, yeah, okay, let's do it. One website that we used quite a lot in the research stages was YouTube. If you don't know what that is, which you probably do, it's a website with loads of videos on it, and yeah, particularly lots of music videos on it. So we were looking at existing videos which we analysed so that we could get some inspiration for our music video. And we also used it to find new music which maybe was a bit under the radar, which we would research into and find out who the label were and who was the manager, etc., so that we could email them and ask them if we could use their song for our music video. And YouTube is actually also how we found Best Day of My Life by American Authors.
We also use YouTube to look at similar videos so we could take inspiration from them and see what forms and conventions are similar. Another thing we used is Blogger to record all the progress we're making and any new things we came up with, any ideas, any other ideas that we've seen on Google, on images, on YouTube, anything, so that we can go back to it, look at what we've put in our Blogger and create more ideas from that.
In Year 12 we did a lot of desaturation. However, this year we've been more precise with our colour correcting and the brightness, the changing of the brightness. So our skills have definitely developed in that stage, because we've making sure we get the exact right tint that we want, and then making sure the level of the tint is correct for every single clip. Whereas I think last year we weren't as precise as that.
The two things that we used to edit the photos we were using for our CD and poster was Photoshop and InDesign. I've used Photoshop before in my photography lessons, but I've never used InDesign before, neither has Amy.
I've never used both.
We had to choose 6 images, and when we chose those 6 images we transferred them into Photoshop where we edited them, and we had to cut them down to size for the CD cover and the inside and the back. For the CD cover we took pictures of the Polaroids, the dry paint on a wooden table background, and in Photoshop I made it all black and white and then put back in the colour on the dry paint and the Polaroids, so it was just 2 things and then the black and white background. From that we took that over to InDesign and we started to map out all the sections that we'd have on our CD. Then we found out how to use InDesign from a little tutorial. There we go.
From a technician in school.
Yes, and that gave us the dimensions that we needed for the CD, and we could add all the text in, like the title, the credits, the management, the name of the song on the back of the CD, and
The lyrics.
the lyrics, yeah.
Thanks for watching!
Bye!
Bye!